Thank you, Chairwoman. Given the gravity of the crime and the life-altering impact it has on survivors, we must leverage all available technologies to combat human trafficking. But the government must deploy these tools responsibly. Trafficking targets that are vulnerable, and we must ensure that our tools empower law enforcement without harming survivors. So, Ms. Lundstrom, can you speak briefly to the importance of supporting survivors when adopting any technology to combat human trafficking? And then, Ms. Snow, I'm going to ask you to follow up and discuss how your company's platforms are designed to avoid bias and keep survivors' needs front and center.
Do you mind restating the question?
Yes, sure. Can you speak briefly to the importance of supporting survivors when adopting any technology to combat human trafficking?
Absolutely. So I can just share the example around our causal AI model and how Polaris has approached that. The build from that, and like all of our work, has come from listening to survivors over the last 23 years. 18 of those years was around listening to survivors through the National Human Trafficking Hotline. And so understanding the needs of survivors and the experiences of survivors is where we come into the creation of anything. So when we first started creating that model, we asked survivors to come to the table and brainstorm as thought partners from day one. From that time forward, survivors have continued to be involved at varying levels and in different ways around as we have designed and continue to build out and test that model, and they will continue to be involved. So our priority at Polaris is compensating survivors anytime they are providing input, because that lived experience is a very unique skill set and expertise. So that's very high level how we have done it, and we have replicated that practice across all of our programs and initiatives.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Ms. Snow?
Yes, thank you so much for your question. I'll provide one example that I think highlights our commitment to including survivors at the table from the beginning and ensuring we are avoiding bias and blind spots in what we're doing. So every single missing child report that is made to NCMEC is screened for possible child sex trafficking. And the way that we've developed that risk assessment tool was, with subject matter experts as well as survivors over the last decade, where we have routinely involved them in the review of those screening indicators, ensuring that we don't have blind spots or bias as we're creating that. Recently, we just transferred that lived experience information and subject matter expertise into a tool that is now being leveraged to screen missing child cases, as well as the information that's coming in from cyber tip line reports by ESPs and members of the public, to make sure that we are looking at across all entities and connecting data in ways that can surface concerns as well as trafficking indicators. So that's one example about how we've continued to include survivors along the way to ensure that we are avoiding those pitfalls.
Thank you. And Ms. Jones, same question. You need me to repeat it? I know. Okay.
Please do.
So can you please discuss how your company's platforms are designed to avoid bias and keep survivors' needs front and center?
Well, one thing I will say is that we are in service to the frontline professionals who operate our tool. In many of the use cases, it's really just to recall the important insights that are relevant to the case. So it's just AI to help recall information, and then the user can discern the true positives versus false positives, looking at other elements of the evidence to corroborate its accuracy. And the concern about bias, I'll also just bring up this example. We're concerned about underserving the victims. So in this journey, we've long thought about helping identify missing vulnerable youth. But for many years, the capabilities weren't operationally effective yet. And when image search tools became available, and there was concern about how they were trained and their effectiveness, it's about protecting the victim's civil rights by finding that information and having first responders support those victims who can't ask for help. So the limitations in the model resulted in the inability to uncover those important insights to then react and recover victims. So over the years, those models, like image processing, have gotten stronger, and it has led to a greater recovery of trafficked children. The other thing I'll just say is that we work very closely with the experts who understand kind of the elements of control and vulnerability. And what we try to do is just save time in the way we put these algorithms together so that they're able to maximize their efforts. And nothing is a blind box or a black box. It's just, pulling more records together in a time-efficient way so that they have the information that they can then review and make expert decisions on how to use.
Okay, thank you, and that seems to have exhausted my time, so I yield back. Thank you.